"Don't sign that, ma'am," said the single dad veteran. The billionaire smirked, then froze. It was the kind of moment that could change a life forever. A pen hovered in midair, just inches from paper. In the glistening penthouse office overlooking the New York skyline, silence hung heavy, until that voice cut through it. "Don't sign that, ma'am." Everyone turned. The guards tensed. The billionaire leaned back, lips curled with arrogance. The woman holding the pen, young, nervous, and with tears in her eyes, looked confused. That voice belonged to Daniel Cole, a 38-year-old single father, a decorated war veteran, and a man who knew betrayal too well to stay silent. But before we reach that point, we need to go back, to where it all began. Daniel had never imagined life would lead him here, from combat zones in Afghanistan to a cramped kitchen in Brooklyn, raising his 8-year-old daughter Lily after his wife passed away. Every day was a battle: bills, work, parenting. But he faced it all with the quiet resilience only a soldier could understand. Lily was his reason to keep going. She had her mother's laugh, and whenever he felt like giving up, that sound reminded him why he had to fight. He worked as a security consultant during the day and taught self-defense classes at night. Life wasn't glamorous, but it was honest, until one rainy afternoon changed everything. He was coming out of the subway when he saw a woman being harassed by two men. She looked fragile, scared. He didn't hesitate. Years of training kicked in, and within moments, the men fled, and the woman collapsed into his arms, sobbing. Her name was Emily Grant. Emily, a soft-spoken 26-year-old, had just inherited her late father's stake in a multi-billion-dollar tech company. But she was in trouble, serious trouble. Her uncle, Richard Grant, had taken control of the company after her father died suddenly. Richard was charming in public but ruthless behind closed doors. And now, he was forcing Emily to sign over her remaining shares, promising her security, money, and silence. What he really wanted was full control. Daniel didn't think he'd see her again, but Emily showed up at his gym 2 days later. She didn't come for lessons, she came for help. "I don't know who else to trust," she said, her voice shaking. "They're watching me. My phone, my apartment. I think they're bugged." Daniel, driven by instinct and honor, agreed to help her. He installed secure lines, taught her how to spot surveillance, and most importantly, he listened. Emily hadn't had someone on her side in years. Over the next few weeks, Daniel learned the full story. Her father hadn't died of natural causes, as Richard claimed. He was poisoned, something only whispered about in the halls of corporate gossip. There were no cameras, no proof. Just silence and fear. As Daniel dug deeper, he uncovered Richard's long list of sins: bribery, blackmail, money laundering. Emily held the last piece of leverage, the final 15% of the company's shares. That was what Richard wanted signed away. Emily wasn't weak. She was scared, yes, but inside her burned a desire for justice. With Daniel and his military know-how beside her, she found strength. He trained her, not just in self-defense but how to hold her ground, how to speak power into her voice. They grew close, not romantically at first, but through shared wounds. She had grown up in a glass cage, groomed to be obedient. He had survived war only to fight for peace back home. Together, they were fire and steel. But Richard knew. He moved fast. One evening, Daniel returned home to find Lily missing. A note. "She's safe, for now. Back off." Daniel's world collapsed. His daughter was everything. He went cold inside, the same way he did before every dangerous mission. But this was personal. There would be no negotiation. Emily wanted to go to the police, but Daniel stopped her. "They won't move fast enough. He has insiders. We handle this my way." He traced the note to an abandoned estate owned by one of Richard's shell companies. What followed was a tense and risky rescue operation, Daniel, alone, infiltrating the compound under cover of darkness. What he didn't know, Lily had overheard everything when they took her. She was calm, clever, and had managed to leave behind small clues. He found her, locked in a room, scared but unharmed. The moment he held her, the tears he'd been suppressing finally fell. But it wasn't over. The next morning, with fresh bruises on his arms and fury in his eyes, Daniel walked into Richard's office, not as a consultant, not as a father, but as a soldier protecting his family. And that's where we return to the opening. Emily stood, ready to sign away everything, thinking she had no choice. That's when Daniel entered. "Don't sign that, ma'am." The billionaire smirked. "You again." Daniel ignored him. He looked at Emily. "He took Lily. We have it all on tape. I planted surveillance during the rescue. He threatened my daughter. That's kidnapping, coercion, and a federal offense." Richard froze. "You're bluffing," he said. Daniel calmly placed a USB drive on the desk. "Then call the cops and let them hear it." For the first time, Richard faltered. His smirk vanished. Emily stood, her hand shaking, but not with fear. With clarity. She looked him in the eyes. "You're done, Uncle." Within hours, federal agents stormed the building. Richard was arrested. His empire began to crumble. The media exploded. Billionaire CEO arrested for kidnapping and conspiracy. Emily didn't just keep her shares, she took over the company, restructured it, and pledged a percentage of profits to support veterans, single parents, and underprivileged youth. Daniel declined fame or money. He went back to his quiet life, now with Lily.